Previously on the experts panel.
Now it's more cheaper with water.
Yes.
There's like this idea that it's an upgrade, and that's not necessarily true.
He had a barbecue with one of my clients one day. Let's cut that part out.
No.
When making your own spikes, how do you get the base pointy but keep the tip together and prevent it from fanning out?
I think you were just telling me about this
Yeah, we were just talking about this yesterday. So on a lot of the forums, people are using things like primer, saline solution. I personally just use water on the very, very tips of my lashes. I just cut my little strip off, a little bit of water, and then once you dip your lashes into the adhesive, it adheres at the bottom anyways when you place it, and it's still wet at the top, so it just sticks. It just stays.
And then the water just evaporates.
Yeah.
But the adhesive is cured in that shape. That's how you're making your spikes.
Yeah.
And what were the other things you mentioned other than water?
Saline solution and primer.
And those are acceptable?
Yeah, I mean they work. Again,
Water's free.
Water's free.
And it's less like additional chemicals.
Yeah.
Less chemicals we're exposing, exposing client to.
Yeah, I mean saline would be fine too, but do you find that it leaves like a salt layer?
So I've never actually used the saline. I've only ever tried the water and the primer, and water worked fine. So I just went with the cheaper option.
So why would you do that and not just use a classic lash?
I actually find that it wraps around the natural lash a little bit better. So I find that with those spikes, I'm getting a little tiny bit more retention.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
It creates a little bit of texture too, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to a classic lash.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't actually do lashes anymore, so I don't know these techniques. I just ask you guys as you're doing it. It's like, how does that work?
And that's not a style that I get requested very often.
Yeah, I don't do it very often either. I just have a lot of ladies who are in dance, and sometimes depending on what they're doing, they'll just be like, give me a little extra jazz. So we just we throw in some spikes and it gives them a little bit more.
How should I be disposing of the adhesive bottle?
Well, in Mexico there are different kind of people who I don't know the rest the chemical or solid or liquid.
Yeah.
So you need to know in your country, in your city, what kind of recipe or I don't know how to say.
Like waste management?
Yes.
Like
Waste management.
where they want it?
But if you put water and clothes, it's okay.
So just the same as we do with the drop.
So you would pop the nozzle off and just fill it with water to cure it and then put it back. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Has anybody ever been taught what to do with it in their courses or anything?
No. I almost always use my adhesive to the last drop.
Same.
And so I just like let it cure in the bottle and then I put it in recycling because it's plastic. I don't know if that's what you're supposed to do because
I don't know if I should. But
because cyano is plastic once it's cured.
So
So I actually just put it in the plastic recycling.
Yeah.
When it's
Interesting.
cured.
I've always just I've thrown mine
And
out.
it's okay, but if it receives for cyanoacrylato, you must polymerize it.
Yeah, so it's fully cured and then she throws it in.
But if it were still liquid, then cure it.
Yeah, I'm at the very last drop too, where like a bubble comes out, and I'm like, oh great, we're out.
Yeah, I use it till the last drop. I'm not usually like, oh, I need to. I like to find an adhesive that I can not have to throw away every 3 weeks.
Yeah. So it's, again, like when I was doing lashes, I would always use the whole bottle. I'm wondering now if the question is if there's actually adhesive. So like if I have a bottle, I've only used 10% of it and I have to dispose of it. I know, again, it depends on your area, but here I would take it to my waste disposal, the eco station, and then I tell them what I have and they tell me which bin to put it in so they can properly dispose of it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I put it in plastic recycling once it's cured.
But it's cured, so
but it's cured. Yeah.
But if there's still some
But if it's
left.
actually still like a full bottle,
Yeah.
then and you want to dispose of it responsibly, I would take mine to the eco station.
What are the regulations for lash artists in Mexico?
Oh my God, there are no regulations in Mexico. I love NALA because I think we must regulate ourselves, and this is the way, no? I don't know, discontamination guide, tweezers, disinfection. There's all I love for NALA, no? Because in Mexico there are no regulations.
Nothing at all. So you're not even required to have training in order to do it. So you could just like teach your 5-year-old how to do lashes and they can.
I studied administration,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, oh, I'm gonna take a course of lash extension. There are no regulations.
Is there any
Anybody.
health inspectors?
No.
There's nothing.
No, there's nothing.
Okay.
That's why I look around for an association that give me that protection, that tell me how I do the things right. Nala.
It's nice because so many of us, we want to be guided and we want to know. I mean, when I started as a lash artist, there were no guidelines for lashing, and I would look everywhere for it and it wasn't there. And so I know there are a lot of lash artists, they want to do the right thing. They want to know what they're doing is hygienic and safe and even smart business and that everything makes sense. So I'm excited you brought Nala to Mexico to
thank
create
you.
those professional guidelines for everybody. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Is it efficient to put bonder in your nano mister?
No.
Is it efficient or is it
Why?
safe?
Is it efficient?
Oh, efficient. Well,
Can we
No.
Why?
change the question to say, is
You
it
want to?
safe?
It
Yeah.
is neither efficient nor is it safe.
Yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say I don't think it's efficient.
Yeah.
Because
No,
you're
it
kind
is-
of wasting product.
It is
Yeah.
neither.
Right. Yeah.
Are we gonna go
So-
deeper on that?
Yeah, we
Okay,
probably
okay,
yeah,
so
should.
you asked, is
So-
it safe?
No, it's fine.
So one of the questions we talked about yesterday was, can bonder even go on the skin? And when we were reading labels to people that sell bonders, a lot of them say they cannot go on the skin. So if you're putting it in a nano mister, you're just spraying it all
You're
over the
breathing
place,
it.
right? It's not a setting spray like you're doing makeup.
Right.
It's meant to be put on micro swabs, and you individually place them on the lashes.
So sort of going back to us saying like always read the manufacturer's directions.
Yeah.
And it specifically says not to come in contact with the skin and you apply a minimal amount to
Mhm.
so spraying it really is you're adding more
Excessive.
chemicals to the client's service,
Danger.
breathing
Yeah.
it in,
Yeah.
wasting product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah,
water
that's
is
money.
free, cheap,
Yeah.
and it does a great job in your nano mister.
And like no hate to the people who thought this was okay. Like we're
Yeah, I can
I
everyone.
can see why they thought, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, that's clever, and then we're like,
Yeah.
oh wait, you're
It's a
not
great
supposed to be on the
idea.
skin.
But it'll also possibly ruin your nano mister because you're supposed to put distilled water in there only.
Yeah, it's gonna start clogging up, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
you'll have to buy a new one every couple months.
Yeah, one hot summer, my son kept putting orange juice in it. He thought that was really cool, and then he was like misting orange juice in his mouth, thinking it's. I'm like, oh well, that's never gonna work again.
Well, his face was probably so sticky after that.
Oh, he got most of it in his mouth, but
Most of it.
It's like again, the box says put
Distilled
distilled
water.
so that's the. We're always following manufacturer
Orange
directions.
juice.
But even
With
it's
pulp?
a
No
special
pulp.
water, no? O sea, for
Distilled.
it's distilled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah.
I hope you didn't find out because you tried to use it.
No.
Okay.
No, he was just chilling out on the deck. Thought he was so clever. I'm like, oh, okay, that's not what that's for.
When pandemic starts, I use the nano mister with Lysol,
Mhm.
but no.
That was also a bad idea.
Bad idea.
You probably don't want to breathe that in either. Yeah.
Give a try, bad idea.
Okay, so we're saying, first of all, nano mister, follow the directions, it should be distilled water.
Mhm.
Bonder.
Follow the directions, it shouldn't go on the skin.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could see why people thought that would be efficient,
Yeah.
but it sounds like it's actually a waste of product, it's gonna break your nano mister, and it's
Yeah.
not good for the client's health, so
Yeah.
our consensus
Or your
is
health.
No.
Yeah.
don't
Because
do
you have to
that.
breathe that in too.
Yeah, we're just adding to the
Mhm,
things that our bodies are trying to recover from.
Yeah.
Do you recommend lashing in layers? What is the best way to do so?
I like how we all stared at her for a little while.
I know.
This question, we're like,
We're
that's a-
processing.
It's
Yeah.
a loaded question because I mean, there's different. It depends on the technique and the style that you're also doing too.
I always lash in layers.
Do you?
I
Yeah.
always do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's how I get the maximum fullness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
always,
it's great.
I do. But is the question, do you like technique wise lash in layers? Like do you actually lash layer by layer or do you lash all the layers?
It's just, do you recommend lashing in layers?
I don't
Okay.
know, maybe it talks about the people who
Yeah.
all
that?
and
Yeah.
only leave one cup,
Yeah.
one
I think
layer.
it's
So-
like a newer technique.
I was gonna say
It's
the one where they put the
scary
gel
to
pad down,
people.
take out
I
some
do
of the
that.
lashes.
Yeah.
Do you?
Mhm.
I think that is not working layers. I think it's more easy isolation.
Mhm.
No?
Absolutely.
So do you do fills that way as well?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Especially
So are we
if they have dense lashes.
Mhm.
Yes. So I use a gel pad. Some people use tape.
Mhm.
I prefer to use a gel pad because then When you're lashing in layers, it's easiest when you're doing a full set. When you have extensions on already and you're doing a fill, it's really hard to pull them out from under. It actually kind of hurts. Sometimes it flicks off the extension. So for a full set, it's always easiest. What I do is I put down a second gel patch, and then you just like pull up some places, and then you lash those ones, and it's a lot easier to isolate because there's fewer lashes. And then I use like part of the gel patch that I cut off, and I tape it up with the gel patch, and then I pull out the next layer. When you're doing a fill, it's a little bit harder, like I mentioned. So what I do is I take my tweezers closed, and I go in between the layer, and then I open the tweezers to separate it, and then I slip the gel patch under, like in between, and then I lash the top, and then I do the same thing, and then I take that off, and then lash
Emily,
that.
but that way, don't think you change the natural growth of the eyelashes. I think it's when you finish, I think it's messy. It's like
Sometimes it can be, but I really try not. So one of the downfalls of doing that is when you tape up the layer, the next layer kind of goes weird.
yeah.
Yeah. So I try not to tape it up very tightly. So I try to do it very loosely, so that it still is not pulling up the eye too much. When you put them all down, they do look a little bit more messy because the layers are separated, but once you comb through them and wash them, they look normal.
Yeah, I always found that it does settle.
Yes.
After it looks a little, when I first started learning that too, I was
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
they're all like,
Yeah, I don't always do that, but if I have a client that has like super dense lashes and I have like not that much time, I do find it to be quicker. It's just like another tool to have in your belt.
Well, I work one by one, and only I saw where's the level of the layer, but it's
And that works
different.
great also.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just another technique to
Yeah.
just know.
But working layers, it's the most dense, no?
Yes.
For the application.
Yes. Because then you get every lash. And what's great about it is for people who do like the Russian volume styling, it's easy to keep track of what layer you're doing, so you're only using those lengths, and then when you flip it, you know to like up or down the length. Yeah.
right.
What would you recommend for us to do if a client comes in with a full face of makeup because, for instance, they have to go to work right afterwards?
Cry.
Cry.
Cry. I actually keep cleanser in our client bathroom for this reason. So even though I clean my lashes for my clients before I even apply lashes, I actually make them do a pre-wash sometimes if they're wearing a ton of makeup. I also tell my clients that because I've washed their lashes afterwards, cured them with a nano mister, that if they do want to apply makeup on afterwards, they can. I just usually encourage them not to do a heavy eyeliner right away, just because you're scrubbing it off later.
So if I came to you with a bunch of makeup, you would have me just go wash my eyes in the bathroom?
Yeah, so there's a cleanser and baby wipes.
Right.
Yeah.
So like the question is, I came with makeup because I have to go to work right after. So maybe you
Yeah.
would just like schedule me, see like, well, if you have to be at work by 5 and it's a half-hour drive, we need to finish a quarter after so we have time to reapply
To
makeup.
reapply makeup, yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
you
think
can
I would
apply
say
makeup
that.
in my bathroom, you don't have to do it in your car.
Yeah.
For me is that when that happens, I have many of that happens because they're going out for the evening. I actually have makeup and brushes that are clean and set up and that they are ready to go to reapply the makeup because I have another client, but you're welcome to go ahead and have all the products that you like to use.
So wow, you go all out.
I have a little session that they
Yeah.
can do their makeup.
Well, Ethel, didn't you say yesterday that you actually like touch up their brows and you give them lip gloss as a part of their service, so when they open their eyes, they get that wow?
Yes, well, when I'm done, because of course they're drying, of course when I look, sometimes, if I'm not providing the brow service, sometimes I just know that they're gonna do something, but it's not the full makeup stuff, but I always finish up and touch up their brows, and then when they're done, because I have them also wear a mask too, because we're breathing so close, we're also with the glue and everything else, so then by that time I'm all done, I remove their mask anyways, and I just do a soft lip gloss, because a lot of times their lips are really dry and cracked, and I always love it when they're all finished, when they have the mirror, they're like, oh.
That's so cute. So I think a good suggestion then to answer this question is if the client is aware of that, just to like schedule accordingly so that they can just apply makeup after.
Yeah.
It would be
Communication
great if they
is
could come
key.
without it
Yeah.
and just apply it after.
Yeah.
So you don't have to wash it all off first.
Yeah,
as
and
well.
then it's like a waste of their product.
Yeah.
Like they put it on in the morning and then you're gonna wash it off and then you're gonna put it on again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like fair enough, you're gonna go straight to work after. It's like, but come without makeup, just bring your makeup with you, and I'll set up like the vanity mirror and lights for you to do your makeup after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
How can you break up with a client comfortably?
Comfortably, oh.
Is anything ever comfortable like that?
I mean, it depends on why you're breaking up with them,
Yeah.
right?
It's not easy, we don't like it.
It's not you, it's me.
Well,
It's like, actually,
in
it's-
my experience, I have a client to every appointment. She was late. She was with
Yeah.
makeup, move, chewing gum, and I say, "Sweetie, I love you. I do the best eyelash extension in your life, but please don't come back. Here's a list of eyelash artists can continue at you.
Yeah.
You and I, no
Yeah.
more.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Please
like,
don't
I
come
love
back.
you, but please don't
Yeah.
come back again. That's
Yeah.
nice.
That's amazing. I love it.
I know that something that a lot of times people will suggest is just to simply say that it's like, I don't think this studio is the best fit for you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm not able to properly fulfill your needs or to meet your needs or meet your expectations. It's like, so I'm gonna recommend you go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's in the verbiage, but I mean, to be able to do it comfortably, I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah.
We're lash artists because we love to make people happy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you're definitely not making someone happy when you
Well,
say,
for me, I had to do the same too, but I am gonna make you more happy because the same situations that I'm not your right artist for you.
Mhm.
Because you asked for this, and I created this, then you don't like that, you're late, same thing. And I said also, and and I'm honest on that part too, I said, you know what, the lateness did not help because it pushes the rest of the people back. She goes, no, I pay more money. I'm like, no, it's not the money.
Yeah.
It's just,
Right.
I'm not the right artist, because every time you ask for something, we create something, it's still, we're spending another hour.
Mhm.
It's not, I said,
Yeah.
you know what, someone else gonna make you more. So I give, always when I give referrals, I'm working in the bank industry, we always give 3. So it's not like I just hand it one. Here's 3 for you to do your homework and you can choose, so that way I'm not hand picking one or another.
Yep.
I see in the forum sometimes when someone asks that and they say, oh, just tell them you're booked out. I think best practice is to be honest. And I mean, you don't have to be mean about it. Be kind, be honest, and be like not emotional. Like
Yeah.
don't be upset about it, and don't try and be right. Just be kind and just like bless and release.
and I appreciate that too, don't just say you're fully booked, because
Yeah.
like, if Amanda decided she didn't want me as a client anymore, and then she's like,
I
"Oh,
have
so
online
Levi-"
booking.
Yeah, it's like, so Levi, I can't get you in.
Yeah.
Like, I'm unaware of the fact this relationship's not
Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
I'm unaware of the fact she doesn't want me as a client.
Yeah.
I think she's just full.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna keep trying to get in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then she's continuing to stretch out the awkwardness of trying to break up with me instead of just ripping off the Band-Aid.
And when you find out that it
Yeah.
wasn't true, and it's when, not if, when you
Yeah.
find out,
Yeah.
it makes Amanda look more unprofessional.
Yeah, it's
for
so
lying.
true.
And the whole thing's
Yeah.
just even more awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
So
why
it's-
didn't you just tell me the truth?
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you have online booking,
Yeah.
even if you block them online, they can get one of their friends to check. So they
Yeah.
will always find out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you say you're fully booked.
Yeah, if you say you're fully booked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have had to fire a client, and that's, I mean, all I said was, and so the reason I fired this client is because she would always complain, and she was so miserable that she kept, every time she booked with my girl Stephanie would get anxiety. She's like, oh, that lady's coming again. I don't know why she keeps booking. Well, she does this complain. I think she doesn't even like them. She actually says, oh my God, I love Stephanie. I love my lashes. I love it here. But at the end of every appointment, she would give Stephanie a hard time and complain. So for me, I let her go because she was causing my staff anxiety. Obviously, I'm gonna take care of my girl. And so that's what we said. It's like, it seems that we're not able to satisfy your needs here. So I think that it's best if you go to another studio. And of course, she's like, no, I love you guys. And I'm like, I think it's best if you go to another studio.
Yeah.
And then I went in the back and almost threw up because I
Yeah.
was like, it was
It's
awful.
nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But I had to make it just clear, loving. But do you guys think it should be in person?
100%.
But
But I guess it depends.
No.
If it's like an aggressive situation where somebody's mad at you, verbally aggressive in text messages and stuff like that, sometimes it's better just to not have that frontal confrontation where
Yeah.
you're just like,
I think it depends on how you book. Like if they're in front of you and they're in the process of complaining and that's when you're firing them, then yes, don't wait till they go home and then fire them. But if you're communicating over like your business, whatever, social media or emails, then I think it is still suitable to be like, you know what, I think this is not a good fit.
But I do have good news, besides just sharing about the referring out to that. One came back and followed exactly what we talked about and changed, and we worked together. The other client loved my other girlfriend. I was so happy. And that's what's nice is that you got to team up with all your local artists near you. And also certain things I'm not very good at because I don't do too many mega volumes. So if a client says, oh, they reached out to me and they're looking for mega or a certain design, I'm not always up to date with that, then I send out a message for the whole group and says, or I give them a list of artists that's near me and take a look at all their websites.
Yeah.
It's not anything about me, it's about the client and also your partnership with all your other artists.
So if you're firing a client because they're always no showing or coming up late, I think what's actually better is to just have policies. I talk about this all the time.
Yes.
Written articles about this, there's videos, there's blogs, everything about how to create and implement and enforce policies in your studio. And when you have those policies in place, you don't actually have to fire the client who's always late or no showing. Just put in the appropriate consequences and they naturally disappear.
Like they'll just stop booking.
Or they modify their behavior, like you just said, once you made it clear to the client why you guys weren't working, they made changes to make the relationship work. And so policies can do that too. You don't have to like be meek and quiet until somebody's walked all over you so much that you're like, now I have to fire them.
Yeah.
That's a really big thing too. If you just have very clear policies in place, everybody has to follow them. Everyone has the same consequences for no showing or being late or being disrespectful in any way. Just enforce it confidently. And again, as I said, you can go to the NALA website, there's blogs on that, learning how to do that properly in your business. But
I think that's a really hard thing for a lot of people in our industry is to set boundaries.
yeah.
It took me a really long time.
Yeah.
Same.
But I've learned, I know from my personal life, like when you don't set boundaries, you find yourself in a situation all the time where you're like, how do I end this relationship?
Yeah. Because we teach people how to treat us.
Yeah, and we can really avoid the discomfort of having to fire a client if we just make our policies clear and know what our boundaries are and know what we're willing to accept in our business.
What is the deal with adhesives nowadays? Is it true that they're not affected by oil anymore?
So we want like, I know, I love how we're all like,
We're all taking turns. If it's during, then you should definitely try to get them oil-free and clean. If it's after, I think most adhesives nowadays are pretty impervious.
yeah. So it's just doing the proper prep work, like cleansing to make sure that the client doesn't have any body oils on their hair or their eye. And then we talk a little bit about pH balance sometimes too. Like, so some clients would require some kind of a primer or something beforehand to get the pH balance right. But then once you have the proper setup and the proper application, we're not really as concerned about oil as we were, say, like 10 years ago.
Yeah, we didn't have the information that we have now.
Yeah, and the adhesives I think are a little bit better quality also, but also our prepping and our education and
There was no prepping before. It was like, okay, lay down, and then put the lashes
Oh, cool,
on.
you have mascara on. I'm just gonna put this over the mascara.
Yeah.
Now we don't do
here-
that.
Here's some strip lash glue. I'm just gonna do it anyway.
That's why we talk about, like, sometimes some of the information that we have in the industry right now that people are sharing with each other is actually still just old information that isn't relevant today anymore, so.
Yeah.
And the stuff we're sharing now might not be relevant in 5 years.
Absolutely.
Like we just do the
We're
best with what we
always
have.
Always important to upgrade.
Yeah, so as disclaimer, as long as you're standing as of today,
We're always learning.
Yes.
always
Oh, yes.
learning.
I mean, I wouldn't like go out of my way to drench them in oils all day,
Yeah.
every day. But if you use oil as a cleanser, just wash it off after.
Well, again, I think that maybe the question also too is that might add to that is where somebody may have hooded lids and they're more oilier, or a lifestyle that the client maybe is a yoga instructor and she does the beacon with 100 degrees. Of course, if that's so, it's still, again, is how well we cleanse and prep the lashes, but also have the discussion with that client too, based on these things that you do, lifestyle, or the type of eyelid you have, then we have an understanding that it may not hold as long. But of course, if we can track it, we know which is I call it your cycle of appointment with me. Because my clientele, they're all different. Some sees me every 2 weeks, some might be 2.5. One likes to see me once a week because she does swimming and everything like that. So that's just this with you and your relationship with the client. Just stare at the camera.
Yeah, just in
Yeah,
case
because,
anyone was
like
wondering.
this is just like
The answer
More
style
cleavage,
is good.
less
My
cleavage.
English.
More cleavage, always more cleavage.
I can breathe. I can breathe
I
now.
practiced last night.
I was gonna say I can't do jazz hands. I'm like, what
Did she got?
And so,
Also, I have that on my phone now, so thanks.
Are we smiling?
I don't know.
I
don't
took
know
a
what we're
video.
doing.
Oh,
Okay.
you guys made it weird.
Next time on the Experts Panel, we discuss mega volume and daily wear, crystallizing your fans, and much more.